Ciao, today I would like to show you a lasagna which is slightly different from the classic one. No meat ragu, no heavy sauces, but honestly still very delicious. I'm making a Sicilian vegetarian lasagna and I will be using some fresh plum tomatoes or cherry tomatoes, some eggplant, zucchinis. Also I will be making a homemade béchamel sauce and some pesto using almonds and basils instead of pine nuts, as they are far too expensive. And this is something which you can cook in advance if you like, or you can put in the fridge and cook it the day after. And the bonus is that the only cooking on the hob is when I make the cheese sauce, otherwise everything will be just done in the oven. I have halved 400 grams of tomatoes. These are a couple of eggplants weighing 500 grams combined, which I've chopped in little cubes, and I place them in the same oven tray with the tomatoes. Likewise, I'll remove the head and the bottom from a couple of zucchini. Again, they weigh 500 grams combined. I'm going to chop these slightly bigger than the eggplants, as they got a higher level of water content and they will shrink a little bit more. So I've halved them and I'm now halving them again just like this, and then I'll go along and I'll make some slightly larger cubes than I did with the eggplants, just like this. Obviously ensure that all of your vegetables are washed. I'll place them on top of my eggplants. Couple of medium cloves of garlic, give them a gentle crush, 1 and 2, and I add them in. Very simple, a little salt on top of everything, and some pepper of course, olive oil of course, and I'll put some on top of everything. I'm mixing everything together. I'll make sure that everything is nice and flat, and I'll place them in the oven for 25 minutes. Mine is fan assisted, 180. If yours is a normal conventional oven, 200. I'll see you in a minute. In the meantime, I'll make my cheese or bechamel sauce. I'm weighing 50 grams of plain flour, 500 milliliters of cold semi-skimmed milk. I'm going to add the flour and a pinch of salt and mix it all together. The milk is cold, and if you mix it well, all of the flour will soon be absorbed. Here I've got some pepper. I'm just going to add some now. One final mix, and I'll pour it inside a saucepan just like this, and I'll turn my hob on maximum. And I'm mixing continuously so that any residual little lumps left from the flour will disappear, and as soon as this will get really hot, it will start becoming very, very creamy. However, I nearly forgot my bay leaf. In it goes. You do not have to put the bay leaf in, but if you've got some, try, because it will release a nice and delicate flavor. And I've been mixing continuously for the last couple of minutes, and you can see that it is beginning to thicken up, which is a good sign. So this will be ready in less than a minute. Look, the bubbles are beginning to come up, so I'll turn it down slightly and I'll mix for a further 20 seconds whilst it's on the hob. And now I can turn it off, and I will remove it from the hob, and I'll whisk it for a further 20 seconds. And there it is, look, beautiful and creamy. It smells very nice because of the bay leaf. What I'll do though, I'll place the lid on so that it'll stop the film being formed, and I'll make the pesto next. In a recent video where I was collecting some chard and spinach from the garden, you mentioned that you would like to see more of our garden, our vegetable patch. So Julie is actually the grower of our vegetables, and she's actually busy at the moment doing some planting. I think she's planting some lettuces. And,
yeah, I need to put my lettuces in.
She has kindly agreed to give us a little tour of what is going on in the vegetable patch at the moment. I need to collect some basil actually, so I thought I'll come here and use that as an excuse.
Hi. Right, so you want a tour of my garden? It won't take us long. So we've got strawberry bed here with a plum, an apple that as yet doesn't produce many apples, but I'm still hopeful. And I've got rhubarb at the back, a couple of collies, then I've got some fennel I'm trying to grow there, and some celery on the go there. Blueberries. This is if that's my plum, that's my pear. And now this is my bed of onions that are nearly there. You can see down here, they're getting really big, some of them, so that's quite exciting. And I've popped some chilies in there. I've got some parsley, got a few flowers for a little decoration. We've then also got chard, spinach beet, a few onions in the middle, and then over there is the spinach and some actual proper beetroot, which are a little bit hit and miss, we'll see. Here's a row of garlic, 2 rows of garlic, and with lettuces in between. And then I've just popped my climbing green beans in. So hopefully they'll trail up here and grow all the way across here like they did last year, so that would be lovely. Now we've got potatoes. These are early potatoes, and then they're main crop with some kale growing in amongst them. And in front of you there are all of the broad beans. They're a little bit hit and miss this year. We've had a really cold spell and it's been dry, but hopefully there'll be some. And then I've popped in some new cabbages down here, but more exciting than anything, I've just seen this and I hadn't seen it before, which is a head of broccoli.
Oh, wow.
Or calabrese, I think they call it abroad. For some reason we call it broccoli. All the same thing. But that is exciting. Gosh, we need to eat that, Francesco's made some lovely recipes with cavolo nero, and this is where I keep them. These were where they were over winter. And then, because I want these to go to seed so I can save the seed for next year, I've kind of left them, and they're all still growing really nicely amongst the main crop potatoes. So that's worked out really well, actually, so far. If you sweep to your left slightly, you'll see all the raspberry bushes along there, look.
Oh, yeah.
So that's full of raspberries, the odd potato that's self-seeded as well. And then over here, we've got more peas. More and more peas. As you can see, they're starting to form now, which is quite lovely. So they'll be ready in a few weeks' time. Down there before you, you'll see there's a courgette, look, in the pot. I haven't actually got anywhere to put it yet, so I'm afraid he's living in there for now. But, as you can see, we've got a lovely courgette forming. This is a yellow one. He's ready to eat, actually.
They're slightly sweeter.
Yeah. And I've popped the round one down here. He's sort of beside a few more peas, and this is where my asparagus are, but I've picked all of those. Just over there, there's more fennel, the odd potato, and these are my leeks in the tray down there. They're ready to put in a bit later on in the season. I'm trying to keep them going there. This is my gooseberry bush. She's not very pretty. She's got some spinach beet and chard from last year growing in here. However, I've covered her up thinking, yes, we will stop the larva fly from eating all of the foliage, but no, they've been and attacked it. However, the birds haven't had the gooseberries, but they're not very big, so we'll see. I might try and up the watering on those, but they're doing okay really considering. And then this is our beautiful fig, which I'm still learning what to do with, but we have got about 10 figs on here at the moment growing. Some over here, look. This is my little outside nursery area where I've got seedlings that I've been growing on in bigger containers down here. Just give them some protection. Oh, and then this is really the rubbish area. This is all the compost. This is the compost bins and the water butts, and more compost bins and more compost bins. In this bed, I've got some parsnips. I'm trying to get some carrots, but they're refusing to grow, and the spring onions aren't growing either. So I'm now thinking about putting some lettuces and things in there, but for now that's not too busy. This one, which I can't get out, but I'll give you a quick flash of, look. That's got some lovely lettuces. I've got some carrots. These are dwarf French beans that will go in the garden soon, and there's a few more collies at the back which I'm trying to keep going, but that's sort of a bed that I keep covered up really, so the animals or the birds don't attack them and eat them.
Right, I did actually come for some basil, please.
All right, I'll go back over here. You asked me to talk about my garden. You shouldn't start me off. You know what I'm like.
This is Julie's greenhouse,
in my
by
garden.
the way. Whenever you say, where is Julie? She's in here.
Yeah, if everybody comes around, I bring them up my veg patch like everybody's interested. I know they're not. Right, here's your basil, my love.
Yeah, I
How
need to
much
make
do you want?
a pesto. I need to make pesto, so quite a bit, please.
What, like?
About 30 grams.
You mean pretty much the whole plant? I'm trying to cut above
That's
a
enough.
node, everybody, so that it will then encourage it to...
Yeah, that's enough, that's enough.
Is that okay? Oh,
Yeah,
you can't have too much. Hang on, I've cut it now. I might as well finish it off. There we are. Look, I've left that nice little bush behind. Do you want any basil?
Basil?
Start again.
Basil.
Do you want any basil?
No, I don't need basil, just
Okay.
basil. Thank you.
Here we go. Is that enough? Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, enjoy.
thank you. Well, I hope you enjoyed Julie's tour of the vegetable patch. I'll head back to the kitchen and I'll continue cooking. Hopefully we have managed not to bore you, but I suspect you can always skip to the next chapter if you're not interested in the garden. I'm making the pesto and I'm using some almonds, 30 grams. You can also use pine nuts, but they are so expensive, and as I said before, I always prefer almonds anyway. So here is my fresh basil, which I've just washed. Don't worry if it's slightly wet, no problem at all. These are a couple of small cloves of garlic. I'm leaving the skin on, but you can remove it if you like, or you can use a medium size. They can go in. Pinch of salt, followed by a little pepper, and of course olive oil, which will help bond everything together. Quite a generous amount. I've got a little food processor here, but you can also use one of those hand blenders if you like. But do give little intermittent pulses, otherwise the basil could burn, just like this. And then you stop. And then you stop. And there it is. This is how you make pesto. Look how beautiful that is. Now, my bechamel sauce has cooled down slightly. And the first thing to do is to remove the bay leaf. We don't want this anymore. So here's my whisk. I'll just dispose of it. I just give it one further whisk, and I'm going to add my pesto to my bechamel sauce next. And don't forget to scrape the bottom, as this is too good to waste. Okay, let's have a look. So by mixing it, you will end up with a lighter green color bechamel sauce, which is one of the key ingredients of this recipe. Ensure that you mix it well so that all of the sauce is combined with the pesto, as the bechamel sauce has got a habit to stick at the bottom, but you can see that it's pretty much the same color. Now let's get a little teaspoon and see what this is like. Oh, it needs just a little bit more salt. So important that you test it before you put your lasagna together, and that will be fine. And my vegetables are also done. Look how much they've shrunk, quite considerably compared to what they were when they went in. I cooked them for a further 5 minutes, as they were not quite done. And also 10 minutes before the end I give them a little toss. So they're piping hot, but almost ready to start putting the lasagna together. I'll get my rest of the ingredients ready, and then I'll show you what I'll do next. And in all fairness, there isn't a lot to prepare, just a couple of balls of fresh mozzarella. They weigh 240 grams combined, which are chopped in little pieces. And here I've got some grana padano and a little cheese grater. And I'm starting by applying some of my pesto bechamel sauce at the bottom of an oven dish, and I'll spread it all over. I better use a spatula instead so that I can spread it evenly. And this is actually an important step. I'm using quite a lot, as you can see, at the base of my lasagna, because I want the pasta to cook well from underneath. And talking of which, here comes my pasta. These are 10 sheets, so I will be doing 5 layers, and I'm going to use a couple of sheets per layer. So that's number 1, and if I can get it off, here's number 2. In total, the pasta will be 250 grams, and I would recommend for this recipe, because it's not very watery, to use fresh pasta, as if you were to use the hard durum pasta, absorb a lot more liquid, and my cheese sauce is not very liquidy. And talking of which, let's put a little bit more cheese sauce on first, and I'll spread it once again. This pesto cheese sauce is really flavorful, so you do not really need a lot, but you do need enough to cover the pasta. Something like this is perfect. So the vegetables are cooled down, so I can apply a layer on top of my pasta, just like this. Spread them evenly, followed by some of my mozzarella. And I'll start again, but make sure that you press your pasta firmly so that it is nice and compact, and I will repeat the same process until I run out of my pasta. And this is my 5th and final layer, so I'm going to show you what to do next, as this is slightly different. So press it down nice and firmly, like all of the other layers. I have purposely kept a little bit more of my pesto cheese sauce for the top, almost like a replica of the base, where I've applied a little bit more generous amount, and I'm doing the same at the top. So I'm going to spread it all over using my spatula. ensure that you got plenty left so that you cover the entire surface. I've got some mozzarella left, which I'll sprinkle on top now. And here is my grana padano. I'm going to grate some of these on top, only on the top layer, so that it's a bit stronger than mozzarella. If I was to put it on all layers, it would take over, whereas like this is quite nice at the very top. And of course you do not have to add any either, but if you do have some parmigiano or grana, add it, as it will give a different layer than mozzarella. I'm going to clean the board of my oven dish, otherwise it will become a mess when it goes in the oven. So little kitchen paper. And if you take a look, by the way, I have reserved some of my vegetables. I will add those on top later once the lasagna is cooked. Same temperature, 180 degrees for 30 minutes. I'll see you then. And this is what home cooked food looks like, or should look like. A little bit messy, which is perfect, a little bit uneven, but look at it. I think it's wonderful. I really don't get it when people do some videos. I don't want to be critical because everybody's got their own style, but everything looks so pristine. That's not real. That's not how we cook at home. I think this is a reflection of what goes on in the kitchen. Look at this, isn't that perfect? As I said to you before, I'm applying some of my vegetables on top. Obviously this is piping hot at the moment, so I'm going to leave it for 5-10 minutes, and then I'll show you what it looks like in the middle, and more importantly I'll tuck in and I'll give you my verdict. Yesterday I was talking to Mrs. Tortellino, and I said to her that I was going to make a Sicilian vegetarian lasagna today. And you know what? A face dropped. She said, "You what?"
Lasagna hit my brain, and then I was like, vegetarian, and then I'm like, oh, no, I'm sure it'll be lovely, because I always are.
Well, no, she didn't say that. She said, "Can you not make it with meat?" I said, "Just give it a shot and you'll see what I mean." So I'm going to show you how to lift the perfect portion. Somebody mentioned to me, "Oh, you're using 2 different spatulas." I didn't realize you could do that. It's actually a very good way to ensure that your lasagna comes out in a piece, and I'm going to show how easy that is, assuming you want to make sure that you retain it in one piece. So I've gone around the dish with a knife to dislodge it, and by the way, use a steak knife. They're the perfect knife to slice through your lasagna. Can you see? It's what a beauty. And he did rest for 10 minutes. It's not rocket science really, but get hold of your 2 spatulas, and they do not have to be as beautiful as this one either. And just go at the back here and make sure that your spatula goes at the bottom, and then do the same with the one at the front, just like this. Then ensure that I'll turn this so that you can see they meet in the middle. And because it's rested for 10 minutes, it will have set a little, so it should be also quite easy, he says. So let's have a look to see what happens. Look at this. Ooh, perfect. Lovely. And I very gently move across to my plate over here, and that is the perfect slice of Sicilian vegetarian lasagna. Is that my piece? If you can manage it. You know I could. Yes, it's lovely. Absolutely wonderful. You can see the 5 different layers. So as Julie provided very kindly the basil, and also she challenged me, I asked her to come and taste it with me. Do you want to go first? I do, but I'm going to have this piece in the bottom here. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to show you. It's left a little behind, so I'll have that. Right. I'm just going to cut a piece here. Ooh. That's really lovely. That's really lovely. Do you know what? You can definitely taste the pesto. Yeah. But also, I was very generous with mozzarella. I mean, it's beautiful and cheesy, but also it feels very light, almost like a spring parmigiana. So you take it all back now. All thanks to your basil. Well,
Lovely.
hopefully you make it, and if you do, let me know how you get on. You do not need to use eggplants and zucchini combined. If you like, you can just use one or the other. But if you combine them, you get the best of both worlds. Well, we've got our evening sorted.
Yeah.
And thank you for watching. And as always, buon appetito. See you later. Bye bye.